This week on Accidental Business Owners, it's 1v1, me and Di. So this show started as a documentation of our journey as business owners. Shay and I went full-time with a podcast last year and some other business endeavours, and we thought it would be quite interesting or insightful to broadcast or publish what we're going through, the stress, the anxiety, the exhilaration, all of that goodness. So last year we linked up with Di Foster, who is an absolute weapon and became our business and mindset coach, and realized that the conversations we were having were actually quite interesting. So this is a one-on-one, the first time we've done it like this, where Di sort of helps unpack what I'm going through, the reality of raising 4 young kids and trying to build a business, my goals for the year, and everything in between. This one gets quite emotional at times, which surprised me. I'm never really expecting that, but you know, it is what it is. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you get something from it, and I hope you enjoy this series.
As a coach to accidental business owners, I'm always more interested in looking after the person than worrying too much about the business, because that's your job. I mean, of course, I'll guide you and, you know, like I've got a heap of experience in business, but I'm always super interested in looking after you as a person. We have had an enormous amount go on in the last 2 days. We have released an episode from last year, which I tore shreds off you. Sorry,
Yeah,
you know I love you.
fans love that.
Yeah, I know. But you know that I love you, and I am literally your greatest fan. My job is to both challenge you and support you, and often tell you what is obvious that you might be missing. One of the things in life, and we've just recorded an episode, and on the back of that, I want to ask you a couple of questions. One of the things in life is that we don't get to just do one thing. Well, some people do. Some people are just double down on their career and nothing else matters in life. But generally speaking, you have a business, you're earning money for your family, and you have 4 kids and a partner, and you're a son, and you're lots of those things. We talked just before about, you know, like, well, what if we could just double down? Don't worry about the family for a year. We'll just double down. But realistically, we can't do that, can we?
No.
I only have 1 child, Steve. I can't. I come from a family of 4. So I know how busy it is. Ours was spread over about 14 years. Yours is a bit more concise. How is that going? How does that impact on your goals? What is actually really important this year? Like, forgetting that we've got to do socials and we've got to put things out there. If we were sitting here now at the end of the year, how would you know that this year had been really successful for you?
You're going to make me cry again.
Yeah, I am.
Nah. Yeah, well, first of all, the reality of 4 kids is the hardest thing that I will ever do. Like, it's kind of hard to explain. Like, I can't let Shay into this. Like, there's no way of explaining what it's like when you come home. And it's such a mix of emotions. Like, you have a full day at the office, right? Like, I'm out recording podcasts and doing all the stuff, and you get home and you're greeted by this tornado of like tears and tantrums and hugs and
joy
and Bond's there and she's happy to see me, but at the same time she's been wrestling 4 kids all day and she's exhausted. And then you go through it and you basically don't get any time to talk to each other. You know, you're just putting out fires, you know, and it's dinner and it's cleanup and it's bedtime. So the only time you actually get to talk about your day is in tiny little bits in between tantrums or at the end of the day when, and I'm talking about like 8:30 after all the kids are down and the benches are clean and the house is tidy, and then you're kind of like, And at that point, the last thing you really feel like doing is having a big debrief on the day. So, and that's, it's like a hamster wheel, right?
Yeah,
like it's every day. There's no getting off.
No.
And every morning you're up with the baby at 5:30, 5:45. I get the kids off to school and out the door, and then it's work. So it's kind of like I've normalized it. And there's no way you can know what having 4 young kids is like, unless you've got 3, and then it's a little step extra. And so there's just no way, if you don't have kids or you've got 1, you can understand what that of tornado is.
Yeah.
So that's kind of underpinning everything, right? Like that is like last year was building the business and going out full time, but also having a baby in the house and managing our relationship. So when I put on those goals, date night with Bon once a week, like that is the hardest thing, is like finding time, like fighting for that time together and managing that relationship. So we've been doing it, right? Like we get a babysitter in and we go for a walk, and just an hour. It's like, well, we don't want to spend money. We don't have to go out for dinner every time.
No.
So go for a walk. We go for a walk around the block and we talk. And
Love
like
it.
that was such a breakthrough. But it's staying on top of that and like making it a priority.
Yep.
So there's two things at play here, right? There's building this business and having these huge goals and wanting to set the family up, and also the amount of time it's taking me out of the home. The income needs to offset what Bon can't do at work, because she's a radiographer. She earns good money, but with 4 kids, she can't. If I'm off to Auckland and recording and speaking and going around, my salary needs to be
for both of you,
for both of us.
Yeah, love it.
Which is kind of, I mean, that's where the pressure has been coming from, right? Like in the meeting yesterday, like it was really important. I said my number I needed to get to, and I need to get to that number.
Yep.
And that's kind of a non-negotiable.
I love it. I really do. What I also want to do is I know that I can't understand what it's like to have 4 children and, all under 8 or 8 and under. Maybe I have an inkling and that's why I didn't do it.
It's a lot,
I'm going to be honest.
Yeah. Who could have thought?
Actually, some of us are very clear. But that doesn't take away from the fact that the joy and everything else that it brings. Yeah. However, you are in a very different place. You're in your own unique place. Doesn't matter whether you're in the same place as anyone else. This is just your place that you're in at this time. And I would predict that you've probably got 3 years in this place where it's before there's a little bit more light. And that might sound like a long time, but I want to be quite realistic about it. That's sort of all the kids are at school. That's a big shift, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what I want to make sure is that we give enough airtime to how much time and energy that is, and we don't get sidetracked with shit that doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. So when I read, I want my golf handicap. Now, bear with me for a moment. I'm not telling you off, okay?
Yeah,
bear with me for a moment.
Yeah.
I want to, when I read that I want my golf handicap to be under 10, what I reckon I read is I want to go and smack some balls so that I'm doing something other than just work and just kids.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
Okay. So I don't want you to get to the end of the year and ever feel that you didn't achieve, because I actually think what the golf handicap is I want to go and hit some balls twice a week. That's success.
I was thinking once a week would be incredibly lucky to do that once a week.
Perfect. So put up if it's important, it's not important. The handicap isn't important.
No.
The time and space is important.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm always interested in is the reason behind the goals. So what I want you to do is I want you to work on really understanding what is important to you and what that looks like. So
it's very observant. Golf also represents friendship.
Yeah, love it.
Because, with everything going on, you don't just hang out with mates anymore, right? Like, but I've got a really good group of mates, and they're all getting into golf at the same time. So the only time we hang out now is when we organise a tea time together.
And you don't want to miss out on that.
Well, it's not I don't want to miss out. It's what I
need
want
it.
to. Yeah, it's important to me to maintain those relationships and
100%.
share what's going on, and that's the time we do it.
Love it. Okay, so what I want you to do is, I think that you have two really important goals, and they're going to get, your goals are going to get bigger and more diverse as your kids grow up and as you get older. But at the moment, there's two. There's sanity with 4 children and maintaining a great relationship. And there's the work that you do and love, and being able to make money out of that, and that being a really good financial vehicle. Yeah. And everything to me has to come back to those two things. And on the side, you might have a couple of habits that you want to do daily that maintain you as a person. You know, like it might be cold shower or whatever it is, but it's only going to be 1 or 2. It's not going to be a lot because of the other 2 full-on things that you've got.
Yep. The other thing I've done, which is like taking control back a little bit, is I used to, you know, as I was talking about, and at 8:30 would come around, I'd have a bit of chat with Bon, and that would be my time, and I'd have like an hour and a half of like, finally, like my time. And I've flipped that, right? So I try to go to bed now as early as possible.
Yeah.
I'm like 8:30. If I can be in bed by 8:30, that is such a win. And then my time's now at the start of the day.
Yep.
So I get up at 5 and do 20 minutes of stretching, and then I go for a swim, and I'm home by 6 or 6:15 before the kids are up if I'm lucky.
Yep.
And then so it's like regaining that time, and that empowers me, man. Like I've been flying with that routine for the last couple of months. Is just like starting the day with, I own that time.
I love that. And the one thing that I'd like you to add in is, on your way to the pool, I want you to have in your car what your goals are, like in terms of I'm a present and calm father, some of those affirmation type goals. We can go through that. I've got some book suggestions, or, like a couple of exercises. I don't even want you to read them. I just want you to go, look, I'll send you an email and it'll be like, do this, this and this. We'll actually do a post about it as well, what I send Steve.
I like that. Swimming is the other thing, like with golf, is the time I turn my phone off for 3 hours and put it in the bag, and the same with swimming. When I'm in that pool, I'm unplugged, there's no distractions, and I do my best thinking in there.
Of course you do. Of course you do.
Solve so many problems in that pool.
So everything, when I see, phoneless Saturday, when I see this, when I see that, I go, actually, this is all about having great family and blah, 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 all that means to you, and being able to perform really well at work. So everything at the moment comes back to those two things, and sort of you in the centre of that, being whole, complete, and a person that can function, which includes a little bit of time with your mates, which includes a little bit of time to yourself. But when I see your goals, it's almost like I just want you to kind of peg them together so that you go, actually, I'm doing this for this.
Yeah.
Because I think that otherwise this year is going to go by really quickly, and you're kind of going to be a little bit scattered. I almost just want you to quietly, like I talked about last episode, this is my 10,000 days, this is my 1,000 days. They all build from each other.
Yep.
And then I know when I'm trying to do too much here, I go, okay, what's my non-negotiables? And that's been really real for me this week, because I've been back at work and I've gone, whoa, all my habits just went out the window in 1 week. I'm like, right, damn it. The other thing that changes with family is I've been really wrestling with this. When I look in my notebook and I'm constantly trying to work out my schedule, it means that something has shifted in my world that I'm trying to balance up. So if I had a choice, I would get up at 4:45 in the morning and I would do, 20 minutes of stretching, 20 minutes of meditation, 20 minutes of journaling, and then I'd be off to the gym, and then I'd be straight to work. I thrive on that routine. There's only one small problem. I have a small child and a partner, and he's going to high school this year, and I think it's super important to be present with him. I didn't have a child for me not to be in his life. So I've been trying to work out and wrestle with what I need as a person and setting myself up, versus the fact that if I breathe and I look after myself, my family's that important to me. And so what it comes down to, which you've got down pat, is that scheduling part and making sure that what my long-term goals are literally represented in my daily life. There's a concept in Japanese culture called one day, one lifetime. And so either there's two sort of thoughts to it. The fact that your lifetime is built by day, and I think that that's important to remember because you're at a very specific age and stage in your life, and it is about the age and stage that you're in is about maximising your income, providing for your family, and about career growth. And at other times, there'll be other things that are important. So as you get older, sometimes quite often people meditate more because they're more reflective, they're more wise. They sit in that category. They're doing less, but sort of bringing it in a different way. So I think what is really important, and I think that your point about scheduling is hugely important. So when we talk about, I'm not going to ask you to journal. I'm going to ask you to be very clear on what your goals are or your affirmations are and put them in the car. So when you're driving to swimming every morning or however often it is, you have a quick look at them and they're part of your routine. So it's like when we go, that's right, what are our goals? You're like, I know exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But more importantly, I know why I'm doing each and every one of them.
Yeah.
And then when we know the why, we can work out, is the bear a priority now? Well, I think we talked yesterday. Actually, we can start the conversation. There's no problem with that. Why wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Make sense?
Makes sense.
Excellent. So even though when I looked at the golf one, I thought, really? I took a breath and thought, actually, really, it is really important.
Well, the other one is coaching my kids' football team. Like that's my
really important.
favourite time of the week,
Yeah.
Saturday mornings with those boys. Yeah. Balance.
That's it. Yeah. And your balance is very skewed at the moment in terms of just grind with the family. And I'm not suggesting that family are hard work.
Oh,
4 kids under that's hard work.
They are hard work.
And an enormous amount of joy.
Oh, absolutely.
Awesome. I'm very proud of you. I said this in the episode that was released at the beginning of the year, but that was also on the back of me giving you absolute arseholes.
It's a roller coaster, always a roller coaster with diet.
But I 100% want you to succeed. And sometimes my frustration, we talked a little bit in the previous episode about making sure that your knowledge is heading in the right direction. I'm going to be really blunt with you about some of that stuff because it's not going to take much. Because you're an intelligent human being, I just want to point you in the right direction. And what I need you to do is I need you to go put your journalist hat on and go, hold on, what's the shortcut to this information?
Yep.
Don't necessarily, I'm not saying you can't use ChatGPT, but you can also get some direction from Maddie as well.
One thing about having 4 kids is I'm very good at shortcuts and finding the quickest solution. So I'm on it.
Yep.
I'm on it, Di.
Awesome. Yeah. Love your work. The teeny writing stuff at the bottom, I think it's called legal stuff. Here we go. This podcast is solely for education and entertainment purposes. I'm not your coach, your accountant, your lawyer, your business advisor, and for God's sake, I'm not your mother. This podcast is not intended to be a substitute for your own advice, for you seeking your own professional advice from lawyers, accountants, tax specialists, business coaches, or whoever it is that you need to seek advice from. Professional advice. It's not a substitute for that. Got it? Great. Also, just while I've got your attention, this is not a substitute for you not having to put your big kid undies on and get on and do some shit yourself. If you need to get your ass into gear, this is a little message for you to do just that.